Welcome to the Hoystory On Air podcast. It is season 2, episode 18. Today is Monday, May the 4th. Be with you, 2026. Before we get to our topic today, let's just make it clear. A statement has to be made. The original trilogy, very good. The prequel trilogy, so-so. The sequel trilogy, absolute garbage. In fact, the only thing that's any good since, 1985 when Return of the Jedi came out is Star Wars Story Rogue One is good, and Andor is good. And Andor, curiously, no Jedis, but still, great show. When you turned into this podcast, you're probably thinking to yourself, I did not see that coming. I want to point this out. This is Elon Musk. He was doing this kind of heart and then hand out thing. And everyone said, hey, Nazi! At least everyone on the left did. This was evidence that he's a Nazi. This is our Secretary of Defense / War, Pete Hegseth. And that tattoo on his chest, he's a Christian nationalist. He's, for the record, the front of the, I've seen pictures of it, the front of the memorial service handout, program for Jimmy Carter's memorial service has that exact same image on it. I don't need to look at Pete Hegseth's chest a lot, but that brings us to Jon Favreau, Obama speechwriter. And this is 4 years ago, nearly coming up close to 4 years on the day, just short of 4 years. Let me know when a far lefty candidate appears with a Nazi sympathizer, and we can chat. Not sure. I didn't go back to see what the context of this was, but it's not good for Jon Favreau. Because Democrats in Maine now have this guy. And what is that on his chest? That is a Totenkopf tattoo. That is the Nazi death squads. And this is the meme going around. It seems very appropriate. I mentioned this, a few months ago. This is more in the news. It's more serious now because Janet Mills, who's the governor of Maine, who was also in the race, dropped out last week. So Democrats, this is the guy you get. Okay? The guy with the Nazi tattoo on his chest. The guy holding up his hand like this. This is your guy. Congratulations. The last time the Republicans had someone on their ticket, who had as troublesome a past as this guy does. The guy's name was David Duke. It was Louisiana, and I want to say it was the 80s or 90s, and the establishment Republicans basically put their hands up, said, we're not going to have anything to do with him. We don't play that. Democrats, on the other hand, seem to want to do whatever they can to... it's more important to win than it is to have principles. You see here on the right side of this picture, here's a follow-up interview from CNBC about a week and a half ago. Elizabeth Warren, who famously lied about having Native American ancestry, is going to excuse away all sorts of troublesome stuff that the Democratic candidate from Maine has said in his past, his tattoo, and let's listen to her equivocate.
Which is you campaigned with Graham Platner, who is ahead of that state's very pivotal Democratic primary. And I wanted to ask you about something you said. You said he's your kind of man. And I've interviewed you for a long time and watched your hearings and listened to your questions. You care about character. This is a guy that had a chest tattoo with a Nazi symbol. Okay, he apologized for it. It's a guy that reportedly wrote that people concerned about rape should take some responsibility for themselves and not get so effed up that they wind up having sex with someone they don't mean to. He praised military tactics used by Hamas, reportedly, in comments online in Reddit when they were murdering Israeli soldiers. So I'm just curious why you think he's your kind of man.
So, as you rightly point out, he has apologized. He's out meeting with the people of Maine every single day so they can evaluate not who Graham Platner was, but who Graham Platner is today. And let me tell you exactly how that comment came to be. I was describing how I didn't know Graham Platner from anybody, and I'm reading
It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. There was like a cut right there because I started going off, and I'd forgotten to unmute myself. Need to work on it. It's been a while. Does anybody think that Elizabeth Warren would be okay with this? Would be making these same sorts of excuses if this were a Republican whose policy views were abhorrent to her, based on, the Republicans got a Nazi tattoo. She doesn't like a Republican to have a Christian tattoo. She wasn't a big fan. It was Hexet. It's winning above all else. Okay? As long as they win, as long as they hold the views, they can be as practically evil as anyone else. Last time this happened with a Republican was David Duke somehow won the Republican primary in Louisiana, and the Republican establishment wouldn't have squat to do with him. Here, they're rushing to embrace this guy. Janet Mills, the governor, wasn't crazy left-wing enough. And we get this. Here's Chris Van Hollen on Punchbowl News podcast making similar excuses.
But we need somebody who can beat Susan Collins. And in my view, we need somebody who will shake things up. And Platner has clearly proven himself to be somebody who can, grab the attention of a lot of voters, and not just Democratic primary voters. We're talking about blue-collar labor voters. We're talking about some of the tribes up in Maine who've not been happy with the way things are going. So, Platner, for all his sort of, ups and downs and
well, let's talk about those
edges has been somebody who connects.
The dude has not had a Nazi tattoo. I mean, let's be clear about what's going on here. I mean, how do you view that? I mean, it seems to be at least somewhat disqualifying and traditional.
Certainly historical. So look, I mean, let's take a couple issues, including the comments he's made in the past. I mean, he's been very clear that he went into combat on behalf of the United States. He went through a really rough period, PTSD type period. And he has himself said there are lots of things he's done and said that he completely regrets. And I do believe people should have second chances, and that people can learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, that's this is the Democratic Party nowadays. The Pete Hegseth tattoo. Oh no. Totenkopf. Yeah, this is. I long ago stopped believing that politicians had principles. They don't have principles. All it is about winning, and winning election, winning re-election. Again, Chris Van Hollen would not make these excuses if it was a Republican. Because frankly, there should be no excuses. Here's Matt Iglesias, who is left-wing commentator, been top of the food chain on that for quite a while. What is the upshot of the Platner tattoo discourse? Let's say I find his story fishy. He's an oyster fisherman. I'm supposed to worry that the seemingly left-wing guy supported by all the left-wing people is secretly a Nazi just pretending to be a progressive populist? Well, it was the National Socialist Party. Okay? For those of you, for those who were, and they show up in the comments, they make excuses. They're not all Democratic politicians. This is his former campaign manager. She is not happy. Platner's former campaign manager. I guess she kind of discovered this stuff afterwards because she seems to have a few principles. There are some things that are beyond the fold. She says he's got an anti-Semitic tattoo on his chest. He knows what it means. He's a military history buff. This was not, oh my gosh, I just thought it was a cool logo and I put it. No, if he's that stupid where he didn't know what it was and, left it on there for years, then he probably shouldn't be in the Senate. I mean, we've got a lot of dumb senators, Macy Hirono, and a history of dumb senators, Barbara Boxer. We don't need to elect another one. We'll go back to the Obama bro. M.K. Hammer, was Mary Catherine Ham, posted something basically, taking Favreau to task over this whole I'll make excuses for the Nazi. Have they ever said a single word in their entire life that be construed as sympathetic to Nazis? Well, sympathetic to Nazis, sympathetic to their goals. Let's see. And I apologize, the audio on this is a little bit off. It's out of sync with the video, but that's the way it is in the original.
Our taxpayer dollars can build schools and hospitals in America, not bombs to destroy them in Gaza.
That standing ovation went on for another 30 seconds. That's about all that I could stand. Yeah, the Nazis would they banned Jews from having guns, so they kind of liked their foes, people they hated, Jews, kind of in a situation where they could be easily taken care of. This guy on Pragmatometer, don't know who he is, but he makes an excellent point. This is the point we should be aware of. The Platner tattoo story isn't about Platner. It's about people who spent years calling everyone on the right a Nazi for the slightest association. Not even the slightest, just for no association. For holding policy views that were opposite of the Democrats. Okay? Only to line up like rank and file partisans behind a Democratic Senate candidate who wore a literal SS Totenkopf tattoo for 18 years. It's a story about how years and years of moral indignation from the very serious people, trademark class, proved to be a paper-thin veneer over your team jerseys. Again, it's not about principle. These people aren't principled. And anyone who went after Elon Musk for that, it wasn't even a Nazi salute, who went after Pete Hegseth, who called Bush 43 a Nazi, who calls every Republican they oppose a Nazi because they won't fund transgender surgeries in California. It's not. They don't hold that position as a principled position. They hold that. They call their opponents Nazis because they hate them. And when someone who comes along with far more indicia of affinity to that belief system, he doesn't like rich people, like Nazis didn't. So he's on our team. A couple of the more controversial statements in 2013, both these things he said on Reddit. Women shouldn't drink too much if they don't want to get raped. If Republicans said that, this would not be excused. Chris Van Hollen wouldn't go on Punchbowl News and say, "Oh, well, he said, but he's changed. He's changed." Some of this is not excused. It's excused for people they like, and it's for condemnation till the end of time on people they don't. women should wear Kevlar panties if they don't want to get raped. Guy is not a nice person, not a winner. On a related story, and again, I hope his former campaign manager is right that Susan Collins wins re-election, even though we got this gerontocracy problem in the Senate. My father is, happy birthday, coming up here in a couple months. My father's going to turn 82 years old. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He's not old enough to be in the Senate. We hope someday he reaches an age where we can put him in the Senate. Not yet. 82 is not old enough, apparently. But hopefully, people who are, and if Chris Van Hollen, if he's bringing in moderates and whatnot, that says something about our politics too. If Chris Van Hollen is right about that. Related story. So this woman, Kelly Newman, is a Democratic fundraiser. She is, I believe, the co-chair of Senate. She co-chairs the Finance Committee for U.S. Senate candidate Mallory McMorrow in Michigan's campaign. But this is her Veterans Day post last year, I think, maybe the year before. The Free Beacon, Washington Free Beacon, give them credit, noticed this and posted on this back in January, I believe. Happy Veterans Day to all my family and friends who served. Without you, America would not be here today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Interesting story I do not talk much about. But my grandfather, Albert Newman, was on the German side in World War I and World War II. He escaped to Brazil with my father after Germany lost in World War II and made their way to Detroit, where they spoke no English and worked their way up to provide a stable life for their family. My grandfather was one of my best friends. He was one of the first people in my life to accept me as gay when I was nervous and scared. I'll never forget him embracing me and loving me for who I am. His story is a true testament that people can change and love indeed can win. Veterans Day, probably not the day great that you love your grandfather. Not the day to be, not on Veterans Day in America. Oh, my grandfather who fought for Hitler. No, don't do it. Just dumb. You'd think that would kind of torpedo her career. It was like, I used to joke with, when I worked in newspapers, what does it take to get fired from a newspaper? Because sometimes it seemed like it was a lot, and other times it was a little, but it was just same sort of thing. Like, what does it take to get fired from the family business? That is a much higher standard than regular business. If you're a member of the family and you get fired from the family business, that says something about you. But anyway, so she is threatening to sue the Washington Free Beacon and apparently some Republican organization for pointing out that maybe this was a bad idea. Free Beacon analysis reveals, and her lawyer has described her as a political outcast since it was revealed that she praised a Nazi, a German soldier in World War II, and apparently World War I as well, who fought for the Germans. Says that she is her lawyer says she's a political outcast. Well, since then, she's posted photos of herself next to Debbie Stabenow, Senator of Michigan, Amy Klobuchar, Minnesota, Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan, Governor of Michigan, Tim Walz, Minnesota, Gavin Newsom, Nazi's granddaughter, Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, and Pete Buttigieg. And earlier this month, Newman expressed gratitude for being seated front and center at the Michigan Democratic Women's Caucus Legacy Luncheon and getting to meet the wonderful Kamala Harris again. Not a good look. But they make all these excuses. They make, I understand why they make the excuse for her, because she's apparently still good at fundraising. And, money talks. But should we be surprised? I'm not surprised. That's all I got for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, need you to buy my book. Available Kindle, hardcover, paperback. I haven't updated this. The audiobook is available too soon. It says soon. It's available now. Go to Audible, I believe Apple audiobooks. It's available there too, I guess. Buy it, review it. I'd appreciate it. QR code there will take you to Amazon where you can buy it. Thanks for joining me today. I'm hoping to appear on other people's podcasts, get news out, word out about this podcast, get word out about my book. Tell your friends about my book. Buy my book. Buy my book for your friends. If they have a birthday coming up, buy my book for them. Otherwise, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.